On guys, I'm Steve. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, you won't regret it. You're a return subscriber as always, guys. Welcome back, and I do appreciate the support. By now, I seen this story yesterday when it broke. Everybody's running with it. By now, you guys seen this story about a man in a wheelchair that supposed to be a veteran that was shot by a man who challenged his veteranship or his service to this country. Now, this supposedly happened on the Seattle waterfront July 31st in Seattle, Washington. Shout out Seattle as always. And in this video, you guys probably haven't seen, the ones that haven't seen it, what it depicts is a guy shooting a veteran in a wheelchair because he's questioning his service, right? You know, we see these stolen Valor videos all the time. I don't pay no attention to that type of stuff, but you know, there are some people out there that jump into this and really eat this type of stuff up. Now, for the record, the older guy that was shot in this wheelchair, right? He's okay. But it's a lot to this story. And I'll clear it up at the end if you guys are interested. So just don't turn the video off, just watch. But I want to talk about this guy that you see up here pointing his gun. This guy's 32 years old. His name is Gregory Tim. This guy right here is the type of person a lot of people can't stand. People that don't mind their business, number one. And people that feel as though it's their citizen right to go up and try to expose somebody and not know what the fuck they talking about. This dude right here is dog shit to me. And this type of person, they get in your face and dare you to smack the shit out of them. When you smack them, they run and call the police and say you assaulted them, even though they're the ones that started it from jump. And I think this whole thing is that type of scenario. This guy right here think he's a hero. These type of motherfuckers here are bitch made. And people that are veterans like myself and other people don't respect this type of motherfucker. Check it out.
Yeah, Greg, Seattle police said they did not find any prior convictions on this man's record, but I learned that the suspect was convicted for a crime in 2020 that caught the attention of the president. The busy Alaskan Way boardwalk was buzzing with tourists Thursday.
It was very scary.
When a single act of violence
I hear a pop.
Shattered an otherwise peaceful day.
People running. There was a lot of people running.
And put Savannah Aljo in the center of a crime scene. Court documents say an elderly man in a wheelchair wearing a military patch was asking for money. But prosecutors say 32-year-old Gregory Tim confronted him and ripped his patch off, demanding he prove his veteran status. They say the victim pulled out a large knife, then a holstered airsoft gun before Tim shot him in the chest.
And then there was the old man in the wheelchair. The old man had gotten shot.
He was taken to the hospital in serious condition. Tim is now being held in jail on $750,000 bail.
If you're the one who's the first aggressor who provokes an altercation, you lose the right to claim self-defense effectively under state law.
In 2021, Tim was convicted of criminal mischief in Florida after ramming his van into a tent full of Trump supporters. No injuries there, though the volunteers were shaken up. President Trump even reacted to it, writing, quote, "Be careful, tough guys, who you play with." Tim explained his motive in court.
I honestly felt it was almost my duty to say something.
Why do you think it was your duty?
I thought it was somebody's duty, because the only reason that this administration was getting away with these atrocious crimes is because we were rolling over and taking it. Okay. So how far are they going to push the American public?
Now that he's facing an assault trial in Washington, can that be used in court? It depends.
And if we do find something, we'll make sure to bring that up before the court.
But if it was vacated, you won't find it.
Exactly, right. If it's vacated, it won't be found because it's no longer considered a conviction.
Tim's conviction in Florida was for a misdemeanor in the second degree. For the shooting here in Seattle, he's being charged with a felony. Reporting live at the waterfront, I'm Maddie White, King 5 News.
Y'all see that shit? This type of motherfucker I can't stand. I'm being dead honest with you. This motherfucker bitch made. It said in 2020, Tim drove his car into a Republican Party voter registration drive at Colonel Village in a shopping center in Jacksonville, Florida, before fleeing. Of course he fled. He's a bitch. This type of dude right here, what they call a male Karen, which I hate that word Karen, but he's a male Karen. Somebody has to do something about this. It's my civic duty to run people over that support somebody I don't like, or you're not a veteran, you're begging for money. This type of motherfucker right here needs shit slapped out of him. He do. Always got their nose in somebody else's asses. Always strikingly upright and all this shit. And if this motherfucking country got invaded, they'd be the first one running behind somebody in some BDUs. Do something. Won't sign up to put his life on the line like a lot of us did. You won't. Ain't built for it. It's easy to talk shit and throw fucking stones from the sideline when your bitch ass ain't never been in this shit and ain't gonna do shit. I can't stand men like this. This not even a man to me. It's not. This wasn't about stolen valor. It was about the guy coming up begging for money and he looked at him as less than. That's all this was about. See, they bring the stolen valor up because that played a small role in it that led up to the shooting, but it wasn't about that. It was about the fact that the guy he perceived as a bum, because they said the older guy who's 68 years old was panhandling, I guess, in his chair. So he decides to jump up and do something about it. I want you to pay attention to the video I'm about to show you, because I'm going to show you the actual video and I'm going to show you a guy with his legal perspective of this whole situation and tell you why this guy think he's out of the woods, but he's not. He in a whole heap of trouble. Now, they didn't charge him with attempted murder, which I think they should have. They charged him with an assault, but they said out there in Seattle that carries a heavy, it's a felony and it carries a heavy prison sentence if found guilty. This guy's a dumbass. He's claiming self-defense. I'm going to show you the video and you tell me what you believe, because they're going to break it down in legal terms and this motherfucker's not as smart as he thought he was. I'm done talking about this because it's starting to get me upset because, you know, stolen valor, that does happen. And it's fucked up. People always want to be a part of something. You know what I mean? But this shit here is on another level. My honest opinion, I think it was about the guy begging for money. He looked at him as a bum. And then you got veteran stuff on your thing. And he tried to take the patch off of his thing. Why you touching the man's shit? Huh? What you touching his shit for? Sound like bullying to me. What you get into an argument with an old man for anyway? And then you pull the gun out. And in the video, you'll listen to him talk. Stay calm, folks. Stay calm. I apologize. He was going to pull a gun on me. He pulled a gun. Fuck this. I'm done talking. Look at the video. Leave me a comment in the section, especially you veterans. You know what I'm saying? People that have been in the military, you know, that shit is serious. But running up on somebody and attacking them and all of this type of stuff, but they still haven't had any proof that the man wasn't in the military. And he didn't have that neither. How you gonna run up to a man and say, give me your ID? You ain't no motherfucking cop. You ain't no authority figure. Sit your goofy ass down with the rest of everybody else and just enjoy the day. Take a look, y'all.
Hey, I'm Jeremy Harris with Como News. You've likely seen that video going around showing the shooting on the Seattle waterfront. Well, I want to walk you through where we got those videos, break down what they show, tell you about the criminal charges the shooter is facing and what's going to happen in his criminal case moving forward. First, I want to warn you, this video is graphic. It shows somebody who gets shot, but the victim in this case survived and has since been released from the hospital. So with that, let's give you a little bit of background about what happened that day. It was July 31st. It was an afternoon, 4:30 in the afternoon on the busy Seattle waterfront when two men got into a conflict. Now, according to a police report, one man, the victim, was in a wheelchair and he had patches on his wheelchair that identified him as a veteran. Another man, who police identify as Gregory Tim, comes up to the man in the wheelchair and accuses him of stolen valor, which is essentially pretending to be a member of the military or a veteran when you aren't actually one. Now, that's what starts the conflict, but whatever was happening between those two obviously attracted attention from bystanders, because at least one person pulled out his cell phone and started recording. Now, let's go into that first video, which shows these two men sort of squaring off. Now, the shooter in this case is in the red shirt and the hat, and you can see the man in the wheelchair appears to be reaching for something, and then the man in the hat and the red shirt reaches into his backpack, pulls out a gun, and fires one shot, probably within 15 feet of the man in the wheelchair. You can see bystanders, as soon as that shot is fired, they get up and start running out of the area, as anybody would after having just witnessed a shooting and not really knowing what was going on. The man in the red, who again is identified as Tim, then starts yelling at the guy in the wheelchair, says, "Pull a gun on me," or he says, "Show me your ID, pull a gun on me." So I interpret that to be that he's saying that he asked the man for an ID, which is what police say said happened. And then he says that the man pulled a gun on him. So let's let this video play out just a little bit here.
Pull a gun on me.
Some people seem to be stunned. Other people are trying to run out of the area. And there's at least a couple people that I can see that have cell phones out that are recording. This second recording, the witness video 2, really gets a clean shot of the shooter here and sort of the aftermath. Then the guy raises his hands and he says, "I'm sorry, he pulled a gun on me, he pulled a gun on me." He apologizes to all these bystanders here on the waterfront.
All right, everybody.
Now, this is a really important moment in witness video number 2, because it zooms in very quickly on the man who's in the wheelchair. This is the victim who has just been shot, and he's holding in his hand what appears to me to be a gun that's in a holster. Now, police say that this was an airsoft gun that the victim in this case had pulled out, and in his other hand I can see what looks like an ID. The court documents say that the victim here told police that he did have a military ID, and that's what he was pulling out. But then he also said that, according to police report, he did have an airsoft gun, which does seem to be established here by the video. So, as you can imagine, a shooting on a very busy Seattle waterfront, that attracted a lot of attention. We sent news crews down there. There was a massive police response to this, and they were able to quickly apprehend the shooter here, who's identified as Gregory Tim. So now I'm going to walk you through the court documents that were filed in this case and give you a little bit about the background here. Now, so the prosecutors, the first thing they do when they file these criminal charges is they lay out a request for bail. And in this case, they asked for bail of $750,000. There's a few things from their bail request that stick out to me. They say that Tim was the one who provoked this whole conflict at first. I'm just going to read a little bit here. It says, in this case, the defendant, Tim, approached the victim, who was in a wheelchair, on the boardwalk of the waterfront near Starbucks, as he demanded the victim provide identification to prove his military status. As the victim was taking out his wallet, the defendant removed a military patch from the victim's belongings. So again, Tim, the accused shooter here, according to prosecutors, removed a patch from the victim's wheelchair. This caused the victim to arm himself with a knife. The defendant continued to demand the victim show his ID, and the victim pulled out a holstered airsoft gun. Before the victim could even do anything with it, the defendant pulled out his handgun, pointed it at the victim, and shot him point blank in the chest. And that's what we just watched in the video. According to the prosecutors, they say this was a completely unnecessary act of violence committed by the defendant to a vulnerable victim who was confined in his wheelchair. Now, then they go on and they have more of the police narrative, but it basically backs up what I've already told you here about the fact that these two are getting into this dispute over whether or not there's stolen valor, whether this guy's pretending to be a member of the military. He told the police that he is actually a military veteran and actually had his ID with him. But it seems to be sort of a random confrontation. It's not clear why Tim, the accused shooter here would have taken such an exception to this man identifying himself as a veteran and being down on the Seattle waterfront. So basically that goes through. He ends up getting charged with assault in the first degree. Now, one of the questions I've seen people asking on social media, they say, why is he just charged with assault and not attempted murder? In the state of Washington, assault in the first degree is a very serious criminal charge, and it can come with potential for decades in prison. So it's not surprising to me why prosecutors filed assault in the first degree charges. Second thing I've seen on social media is a question being asked about, well, if this guy in the wheelchair did pull out an airsoft gun or did have a knife, then isn't this an act of self-defense? Well, at the time the charges were filed, we took that question to the prosecutor's office, and they said because Gregory Tim is the initial aggressor, according to the prosecutors, he started the fight. He then cannot turn, when that escalates, he then can't turn around and say, this is an act of self-defense. Now, that could be a real key issue here at court, and I imagine if this case goes to trial, it will be. But the prosecutors say they don't buy any claim that this was an act of self-defense, especially as we just read that the victim here is confined to a wheelchair. So the prosecutors say it's not a case of self-defense. He couldn't claim that in shooting this guy in the chest while he's confined to a wheelchair, regardless of whether or not he had that airsoft gun. And as we saw there in the video, it appears to me that airsoft gun is still in a holster. So it could make for an interesting self-defense case if it goes to trial. But prosecutors said they don't buy the claim of self-defense. They asked for $750,000 bail. They charged him with first-degree assault. And as far as the jail records show, Tim is still confined to jail here at the King County Jail, and the case is going to move forward against him. Usually in a case like this, there'll be an arraignment hearing, there'll be a plea entered of not guilty, and then it will go forward. There may be could be possible that his defense team would ask for a reduction in bail. But then, a case like this generally will take, I would expect, at least a year, if not more, to resolve its way through the court system. And if it does go to trial, it'll be very interesting because Gregory Tim here is going to have to set up a claim of why he believed that his life or safety was in immediate danger as a result of the actions of the victim here in the wheelchair. Now, the condition of the victim, we know, we've checked with the hospital. He's since been released. He was shot in the chest. That he survived seems to be a miracle here because, as you saw in that video, that shot was fired from not more than, I would say, 15 feet away, directly into his chest. But he survived. He got taken up to Harborview Medical Center, where he's now been released from the hospital. It's an interesting case. Thankfully, nobody died. It scared a lot of people down there on the waterfront. And now that we have the video, it's really getting a lot of attention. I also want to give you a little bit of backstory into how we got these videos. We requested them through public records to the King County Prosecutor's Office. That process takes a couple of weeks, which is why we didn't have them immediately. But now, about a week and a half after charges were filed, we got access to these videos, and they really give some clarity about that confrontation there on the waterfront and helps us get a better understanding of exactly